was working in this bakery, as a bread carter, and I'd been there for about 2 years. And I sort of got really sick of that because I had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning all the time. So I thought that I'd do something like opening up a record shop. So I was wandering around town, and I was sort of thinking, who can I get enough money to get a record shop started? And I ran into Keith, and I was just
a fortune.
Yes, I was just vaguely sort of talking about it and saying, well, you know, I'd like to get this record shop started, and I need sort of about $2,000. And Keith said, oh, I've got $1,500.
Why are the record pressing so bad in Australia?
Well, I think there's a question begging an answer, really. I don't think they're really that bad. Perhaps there's not as much care taken. Some of the stereos are a bit flat, I must admit, and sometimes they're not as loud. The recording on them doesn't be as loud as American records or English records. But you've got to have an idea of the market, because in the United States and the United Kingdom there's a huge record buying market, so they can afford to spend, you know, vast amounts on packaging and pressing. I mean, there's only about 3 or 4 pressing plants in the whole of Australia which do nearly all the pressing for the country. And I don't think there's that much great difference. I think there is a slight difference in fidelity, but sometimes you have to pay for that by having surface noise, because the surface tension on overseas records in some cases is very high, whereas in Australia it's not. So you never have surface noise on Australian records, but you do have a bit of a lack of fidelity and lack of tone.
What sort of people do you get buying records?
Fools. People who like to waste their money on records instead of food. Actually, a lot of our record buyers are very thin.
One of the things is
it's a reasonable it's a reasonable cross-section of the community, I would say, from sort of incredible freaks right through to people who work in insurance companies and banks. It's sort of like music is very universal now. Like a long time ago, there wasn't that many people who used to collect records, you know, but everybody does now. It's like one of the most universal habits and hobbies in the world. So any shop like this, we get an interesting cross-section in here because we have mainly people who are real record collectors and fans. We don't sort of have casual people who buy a $3.95 James Last LP. All the people who come in here sort of know what they want, read the trade papers, and really enjoy buying new records.
Very interesting.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Very interesting.
So we get very excited actually in here because we get all these fantastic records and we have people rushing in to buy them.
We're the most excited of all. When we ever get a new shipment in, you know, we're sort of jumping around the place. And
it's great.
Have a ball opening it, and fantastic.
It's not like hearing all those new terrible records.
So there's a sort of excitement in the shop most of the time.
Yeah. Do you get yes, that is the thing. There is an air of excitement in here because that's very Dr. Dick, you know, in motivational research, because excitement tends to excite the buyer.
What artists that aren't known in Australia and aren't sold here do you seem to sell most of?
I'll give you a couple of examples. Well, originally John McLaughlin, for example. Mark Armand is another band that was formed out of the John Nail band. 2 guys who used to know John Nail. Paul Quinn's another one. The Velvet Underground, definitely. We sell a lot of Velvet Underground records. Lou Reed's albums. We had the David Bowie albums way before they were released in Australia. There's a number of things like that.
There's a record that we've got at the moment called Escalator Over the Hill, which is a jazz rock opera featuring a whole lot of people, and we're about the only people selling this in Australia.
That's right, yeah, that's got John McLaughlin, Jack Bruce, Linda Ronstadt, about 150 people on it, so it took about 4 years to record.
And what do you see as your future? Can you see yourselves creating a chain of imported record shops, or carrying on as before?
No, I think we just see ourselves going on pretty much the same as we are, because if you could do a chain, but it seems nicer just to have one shop.
It's better because it's a specialist business, you know, there are other specialist businesses, and you've got to approach it that way.
It's not really the $1 million market it appears, you know. You go into so many record shops and people just don't know what you're talking about, you know, outside of sort of Cat Stevens and Beatles, you know, people that just really don't know. So, like, the biggest kick we get here is selling some of the minority stuff, because that's people who might have been trying to get those records for a long time.
And one last question, how did you get the name?
Archie Jugs?
Yeah.
It came to me in a dream.